Hi everybody, Cohh here with a quick tutorial on breaching, which is something you're going to do in Cyberpunk 2077. So breaching is a mini game where you line up two letters or numbers in different orders to get various rewards, in some cases to hack into things, get specific types of data, all that good stuff. It is a relatively simple game once you know how to do it, and it can be very lucrative, especially later on, to get lots of money. So, breaching is broken down into four main areas. The first is the timer, which only starts when you start clicking, so you don't need to rush when it starts. Second is the buffer. This is determined by the OS implant in your cyberware. You normally start with a much smaller buffer, so keep that in mind as you're watching this tutorial. We then have the code matrix on the left. This is where you're going to be doing all your clicking. And then finally, we have the sequences on the bottom right. So what we're going to do, and what you want to do, is your goal is to get as many of the sequences in the allotted buffer as you can. So I'm a pretty advanced hacker at this stage of the game, so it's pretty easy for me. I have perks that give me the first line already completed. I have perks that make it so these chains are not as long, and I also have a huge buffer because I have a large OS upgrade in my cyberware. So for me, at this stage of the game, this stuff's pretty easy. But when you start, you have a small buffer, you have chains that are much larger, and there will be times when you won't be able to get all of them. So just keep that in mind. You're going to want to be looking for overlaps and things of that nature. So how does this game work? This game works by first selecting something in the top row. Then whenever you've picked something on that row, you can only select from that column. When you select something from the column, you can only select from that row, etc., etc. You fill the buffer with every click, and the point is to make as many of the chains as you can. So in this case, we can see we have E9-1C and BD-E9 as our buffers, as our two different things. So if we only had, or our two different sequences, if we only had three, for instance, what we would want to do to try to overlap is we would want to do BD-E9 first. So we would want to do click, click, and then we'd have to pick something on this row, so we would have 1C. And that would let us get all four of these inputs, because you can see the overlap is at the E9 here, in one go. So there are going to be times when you cannot get all of these, especially early game. In those times, you want to focus on getting the V3s and work yourself down, because the V3s are going to give you more resources than the V2 or the V1. But of course, you do want to try to get as many as you can. So in this case, I'll show you here real quick. We're going to do, since we can see our overlap is at E9, and we want to get it in as few as possible, although it doesn't matter when you have this many buffers, as long as you get them, that's all that matters. We can start with BD. You can see the timer started when we clicked. Now we're locked to this row. So the next thing we can do is E9. You can see when I select E9, it lines up and it highlights what goes from here. E9, we just got this one installed. Now we're locked to the row here instead of the column. Now we can do 1C to finish. Now, you're going to see later that it's going to get a little bit more complicated. Sometimes you can have chains of 4, and sometimes your buffer is very small. So again, you'll have to really focus on trying to get ones to overlap to get them all from there. So yeah, that's how breaching works. You can make breaching easier, again, by getting OS upgrades. There's also perks in the intelligence tree to help you get an easier time. As you can see, my first one was already completed. I actually have a perk for that. I also have a perk that removes the amount that you need and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope this tutorial helps. Hope it helps speed up your breaching as well. And as always, thanks for watching. Stop by twitch.tv/CohhCarnage and come say hi. Bye-bye.